Please rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to RPtv. Today is Thursday, September 26, 2019. As climate change continues to be a top news story, recent reports are highlighting the fact that the state of New Jersey could be seriously threatened, especially along the Jersey coast. Michelle has the details.
The marine life in New Jersey and around the world is damaged by the increase in the ocean temperature caused mainly because of climate change. Around 100 authors from 36 nations prepared a special report on the ocean and cyrosphere in a changing climate, explain and summarize the effects of global warming and the rapid change in the environment through the years. The report was released by the Intergovernmental Panel of the United Nations on Climate Change. The New Jersey scientists claim the melting of the polar ice leads to rise in sea level and it directly affects the climate of New Jersey. The UN report concludes that the rise in the temperature of the oceans around the world are contributing to the decrease in the fish population of the sea. The report goes on explaining how the population of fish are migrating towards the poles due to the change in water temperatures. Due to the migration of the fish, the fisheries catch less of the fish, and that leads to the decline in the coastal economies.
As it seems to be, some criminals just can't learn the lesson that crime doesn't pay. Let's go to Kaylin for the latest news report coming out of Roselle Park.
Recently, the Roselle Park police were called to East Grant Ave after they received reports about two individuals entering a silver Honda Pilot, a vehicle that did not belong to them. This occurred at 10:24 p.m. on September 20th. The police pursued the suspects and discovered them to be close by, only a few streets over from where the crime took place. The two teens, identified as 18-year-old Nasir Williams from Roselle and Jose Marrero from Elizabeth, were processed and released on criminal charges of theft, burglary, and an upcoming date in the Union County Supreme Court. You would think that their story ends there, right? Well, the following morning of September 21st, the boys struck again. The Roselle Park police received a call at 5:03 a.m. about two masked suspects walking around, attempting to enter vehicles parked on the street by pulling on their door handles. Officer Mastrocola and Officer Marino responded to the call and headed over to East Westfield Ave, only to find none other than Williams and Marrero inside of a parked 2015 Mazda on Walnut Street. This car did not belong to either of the suspects. Both individuals have since been taken into custody and were charged with disorderly conduct and another count of burglary and theft.
Now it's time for the announcements. Tabletop Game Club will meet in the library after school on Wednesdays. Come check out a wide variety of board and card games. See Ms. Amoroso or Ms. Lemke for details. Tonight is back to school night. High school students will be dismissed at 1:45 p.m. Back to school night begins at 6:30 p.m. Roselle Park Loves Arts is looking for volunteers for the annual festival of art, crafts, music, street art, food, and children's arts and crafts this Saturday, September 28th, on Chestnut Street. The event starts at noon, but volunteers can go to help set up starting at 9 a.m. The festival ends at 7 p.m. Please see Ms. Scutro and sign up in room 102. Hours can count for honor societies with prior approval. Even 1 hour is a huge help. The Borough of Roselle Park is hosting its 5th annual Festival of India, Saturday, October 5th, 2019, from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. with an annual celebration and cultural fair. Free event begins with a taste of traditional Indian food from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. in the cafeteria. At 7 p.m., the festival continues with presentations and later by Garba and Ras, traditional Indian dance in the gymnasium, and live music by Desi Beats Entertainment. College visits field trip to NYU, Wednesday, October 9th. Permission forms available in guidance. This trip is open to all students, however. Preference will be given to seniors and juniors. Congratulations to the girls' soccer team for their decisive victory over Hillside High School. The Panthers were led by Alexis Zielinski and Madison Zielinski with 2 goals each. The final score was 7-0. Change keeps coming back and forth in Cranford, and hopefully the residents and moviegoers will be more than satisfied. Michelle has that report.
Cranford Movie Theater closed 2 weeks ago, but it will be making a comeback. The mayor stated that the theater will reopen in early November. There will be new seats and carpeting. Jesse Saya is the owner of the property, and his family will be operating the theater. Saya also owns the Rialto in Westfield and the Bellevue in Upper Montclair. Saya plans to reopen the theater on November 8th, which is an aggressive timeline because there's tons to do. The plan for the theater is to keep the outside the same but change everything on the inside. Downtown Westfield's Rialto Theater recently shut down, and it will possibly be reopened and remodeled as well, Saya said.
Stay tuned, we will be right back.
Come to the Arts Festival, please.
Thank you for watching RPtv. Have a great day and stay tuned for CNN 10.
First topic today on CNN 10, a down-the-middle explanation of the impeachment inquiry in the U.S. House of Representatives. I'm Carl Azus. Thank you for watching. The controversy started with a phone call. In late July, U.S. President Donald Trump spoke with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. That conversation factored into a complaint made later by an anonymous whistleblower, someone who aims to expose potential wrongdoing. In the call, President Trump spoke of former U.S. Vice President Joe Biden and his son. Between 2014 and 2016, Vice President Biden was a regular visitor to Ukraine. It had a new government, the U.S. government supported it, and the Obama administration had offered Ukraine $1 billion in assistance. In recounting one of his trips there, Vice President Biden said he told the Ukrainian government to fire one of its top attorneys if it wanted the American aid money. Several countries blamed the prosecutor for not doing enough to investigate corruption in Ukraine. The Ukrainian government fired the prosecutor and got the U.S. aid. But in his phone call this summer with Ukraine's new leader, President Trump said it was unfair that the Ukrainian prosecutor was fired in 2016. He added, quote, "There's a lot of talk about Biden's son, that Biden stopped the prosecution, and a lot of people want to find out about that." And he asked the Ukrainian president to look into it. Democrats in the House of Representatives say in doing that, President Trump abused his power to pressure a foreign government to dig up dirt on Biden because he's a political rival in next year's election. They also accused the Trump administration of illegally preventing Congress from getting more info from the whistleblower who made the original complaint. President Trump has suggested that any wrongdoing has to do with former Vice President Biden because the Ukrainian prosecutor he wanted to be fired was investigating a Ukrainian gas company that Biden's son was working for. There's been no evidence of wrongdoing by Joe or Hunter Biden. On Wednesday, the White House released a summary of the phone call between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky. It also released the original complaint made by the whistleblower. The reaction in the U.S. Congress to the call summary was mostly along party lines, with Democrats saying it confirms the need for an impeachment inquiry, an investigation into President Trump's actions, and Republicans saying it shows that President Trump did nothing wrong.
Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi saying that everything was completely changed after President Trump came out and admitted that he did indeed in some form speak with and potentially pressure the Ukrainian president to investigate Joe Biden.
This isn't relitigating the past. This isn't relitigating the election with Hillary Clinton. This is about the president abusing his office in seeking political dirt about an election that's upcoming.
We have seen a slew of House Democrats really adding their voice to call for an impeachment inquiry to begin. Some moderate swing state members of the House, also some allies of Speaker Pelosi. So very clear that she says and she felt that the time now has come.
Trump keeps talking about this unredacted transcript of his phone call with the Ukrainian president, suggesting that if people will just read this, they will see how misdirected these efforts are.
I think it's ridiculous. It's a witch hunt. I'm leading in the polls. They have no idea how they stop me. The only way they can try is through impeachment. That call was perfect. It couldn't have been nicer. What Joe Biden did for his son, that's something they should be looking at.
Speaker Pelosi happens to be the Speaker of this House, but she does not speak for America when it comes to this issue. Our job is to legislate, not to continue to investigate something in the back when you cannot find any reason to impeach this president.
The American people are going to view this and roll their eyes because it's going to sound to them like much of the same thing they've been hearing for the last 3 years.
So what's the process? How does impeachment work? Well, the investigation is going to go forward, and if the people in charge of the House of Representatives, the Democrats, think that there is enough to go forward with impeachment, the House Judiciary Committee will consider what's called articles of impeachment, which are specific charges. And if they vote articles of impeachment, then the full House of Representatives will vote on whether Donald Trump will be impeached. Now, if there is a majority in support of impeachment, Donald Trump doesn't lose his office. That's like a formal charge. It's like an indictment. So if Donald Trump is indicted the way Bill Clinton was impeached, and that is indicted, then the case will go to the United States Senate. It takes 2/3, 67 votes in the Senate, to remove a president from office. I think everyone believes it's very unlikely in a Republican-controlled Senate that Donald Trump will ever be removed from office by the Senate, but that's the next step if there is impeachment voted in the House of Representatives.
So what could the outcome be? The easiest scenario, and probably the most unlikely scenario, is they move forward in the House with impeachment and they remove him in the Senate. Under that scenario, Vice President Pence becomes President Pence. Again, very unlikely. The other scenarios would be they move forward with impeachment articles in the House. He's acquitted in the Senate. And we'll see what that means for 2020. It could very well energize the president's supporters. It could also energize Democrats. Now listen, if they don't go forward in any way and no impeachment articles come out of the House, we don't know what happens with that. Does the president essentially dodge a bullet and his supporters are energized and therefore Democrats are demoralized in 2020? We just have to wait and see how these scenarios play out.
10-second trivia. What is the largest mammal in the weasel family? Wolverine, pine marten, sea otter, or polecat? It's the sea otter, which can grow to a weight of 90 pounds. That's the largest weasel on Earth. perfect timing for Sea Otter Awareness Week. That's going on right now, and today we're taking you to an aquarium in California where 2 adult sea otters are helping rehabilitate abandoned pups so they can learn how to survive in the wild.
We're here today at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. The aquarium itself was designed originally to highlight the marine life, the diversity and the richness of marine life in this local environment. We work with stranded sea otters. The sea otters are coming in with a variety of injuries, illness, orphan pups. The animals that are here are being rehabilitated for release back into the wild. We're basically working with 9 sea otters behind the scenes right now. The youngest and the newest is a 2-week-old pup who it's kind of difficult to see, but she's sleeping on the haul out right now. She will be here behind the scenes in what we call our intensive care unit for probably 6 more weeks before we start introductions with Selka. So up here on the roof we've got 2 tanks where we keep animals. Sea otters wind up eating anywhere, depending on what treatments they're doing, between 25 and 35% of their body weight a day, which is obviously a lot of food. If we're going in to do a feeding, let's say with the pup, we want to be able to have a disguise on. The disguises that we use, it's mostly to break up our human form. We're trying to minimize the likelihood that the individual pups are going to habituate to us. Autumn, hang on. They might want to film you tossing that in. Are you okay with that? Ultimately, the goal here is that we want to provide an enriched and rewarding environment for these animals that are extremely intelligent. And it's kind of a combination of fun and work for them while they're out here.
We're doing a little trolling on 10 out of 10 today. Imagine walking through a park in Belgium on the hunt for hidden trolls. They can't be too hard to find. They stand between 13 and 26 feet tall, and they were a gift from a Danish artist to a park that hosts a famous music festival. They're all made out of recycled wood, and there are 7 of them lying around or sitting around or toting buckets next to ponds. Unless you're looking to be gobbling up some time on an unusual troglodyte, you might have to overcome your troll phobia, getting some self-elf before spending time with Gnome Sweet Gnome at such a kobold destination. Still, it makes for a fairy tale ending to CNN 10. I'm Carl Azus.